The United Nations Development Group is a consortium of United Nations agencies, created by the Secretary-General of the United Nations in 1997 to improve the effectiveness of UN development activities at the country level. Its strategic priorities are to respond to the Triennial Comprehensive Policy Review, which became in 2008 the Quadrennial Comprehensive Policy Review, and global development priorities, as well as to ensure the UN development system becomes more internally focused and coherent. The UNDG strategic priorities give direction to UNDG members' efforts at the global, regional and country level to facilitate a step change in the quality and impact of UN support at the country level. Currently, the UNDG is one of the main UN actors involved in the development of the post-2015 development agenda. UNDG brings together 32 UN agencies and groups, plus 5 observers working on various development issues. These agencies include United Nations Development Programme, United Nations Children's Fund, World Health Organization, International Labour Organization and the International Telecommunications Union. History: by 1997, there were calls within the United Nations to draw all UN agencies working on development issues together. For the many UN development programs, funds, and specialized agencies were encroaching upon each other's activities. An initial proposal was to merge the UNICEF, the World Food Programme and the UNFPA into the UNDP. Finally, then Secretary-General Kofi Annan worked to form the UNDG in one, praise from then UNDP Administrator James Smith. Members of the UNDG, UNDP, United Nations Development Programme, UNICEF, United Nations Children's Fund, UNFPA, United Nations Population Fund, WFP, World Food Programme, OHCHR, Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, Union Women, UNOPS, United Nations Office for Project Services, and AIDS, Joint United Nations Programme on HIV/AIDS, UNHABITAT, United Nations Human Settlements Programme, UNODC, United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, WHO, World Health Organization, DESA, United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, IFAD, International Fund for Agricultural Development, UNCTAD, United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, FAO. Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, ILO, International Labour Organization, UNDPI, United Nations Department of Public Information, OHRLS, United Nations Office of the High Representative for the Least Developed Countries, Landlocked Developing Countries and Small Island Developing States, SRSGCAC, Special Representative of the Secretary-General for Children and Armed Conflict, UNEP, United Nations Environment Programme, UNHCR, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, OSAA, Office of Under-Secretary-General, UNWTO, United Nations World Tourism Organization, WMO, World Meteorological Organization, ITU, International Telecommunications Union. Observers: World Bank/World Bank Group, UNFIP, United Nations Fund for International Partnerships, OCHA, Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, Spokesman for the Secretary-General, Director, Office of the Deputy Secretary-General, United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction. Leadership and Organization. Leadership equals the United Nations Economic and Social Council and the United Nations General Assembly provide oversight and mandates for the UNDG. The UNDG is overseen by the Economic and Financial Committee of the General Assembly. The UNDG has provided reports such as the Comprehensive Statistical Analysis of the Financing of Operational Activities for Development of the UN System for 2006 and the Comprehensive Statistical Analysis of the Financing of Operational Activities for Development of the UN System for 2007 to the General Assembly. The UNDG's chairperson is the UNDP's administrator. Since its inception, the following have been the chair of the UNDG: James Smith, Mark Mallet Brown, Kemal Dervier, Helen Clark. Executive Committee. The Executive Committee comprises the four founding agencies: the UNDP, the UNFPA, the UNICEF and the WFP. UNDG Advisory Group, under Kemal Dervier leadership, an advisory group, which provides the UNDG chair with advice and guidance on managing the operational dimensions of the UNDG and the resident coordinator system, was established. In 2009, the non-rotational members of the advisory group were, the FAO, ILO, UNDP, UNESCO, UNFPA, UNICEF, UNHCR, WFP, WHO and UNIDO. The rotational members were, the UNAIDS, DESA and the Economic Commission for Europe. Organization Development Coordination Office. The Union Development Operations Coordination Office is a key component within the UNDG, promoting social and economic progress by providing support. It was key part of UNDG's formation in 1997, uniting the UN system and improve the quality of its development assistance. Coordination leads to more strategic UN support for national plans and priorities, makes operations more efficient, reduces transaction costs for governments, and ultimately helps people attain the Millennium Development Goals and other internationally agreed development objectives. For more about DOCO's work, see its official page. See also: Quadrennial Comprehensive Policy Review, Delivering as One, Reform of the United Nations, United Nations Development Assistance Plan, United Nations Development Programme. References. External links: United Nations Development Group, UNDP and the United Nations.